This is the Healey Brothers Show.
All right, so welcome to the Healey Brothers Show here. We got Brad Warren, our Director of Technology, and Brian Healey. Today we're going to talk about our customer care center, kind of why we started it and why it's made us so much more successful, and kind of what we do and how it helps our customers and all that stuff. So
Sure, good morning.
if you just want to give a little background why we started it, how it's helped us, and like where it came from and how long ago, and like what's the main overall, because you're obviously the biggest part of why we have it. Sure. And we've gone through changes, and you've been the only, I would say, standard of making sure it runs properly year after year.
Well, the current customer care center it's our third time starting a customer care center, and the longevity of this version is I think we did it right this time. We actually first started a customer care center on Route 211 when Healey Ford was there. And I think that what we did there back in 2000, that's probably 2008, is we tried to do everything. We tried to, like, from start to finish, tried to do everything from setting the appointment on a sales customer to meeting the greet and the sales floor when the appointment shows up. We tried to handle everything in the service drive to set all the appointments. We didn't incorporate the rest of our company in the process. And then in 2000, so we shut that down actually within probably a year and a half. We actually said, you know what, this is not working. And then we started back up at Healey Ford Lincoln with a 4-person team, with the thought that let's do some of the process. Let's talk with the customers, give them a consistent experience, and involve the rest of the departments in the process. So I think that
At
was...
this point, it's still like for one of our stores, right?
One of our stores. It was just for the Ford Lincoln dealership at that point. So we did not incorporate any of the other stores. But I think it was a good starting point because we realized that you can't do it all. You have to incorporate the current departments. You have to have your sales teams involved. You have to have your service departments involved in the process. And when W.S. Healey Chevrolet moved out of Greenwich Avenue and up to New Hampton to the new facility, the Greenwich Avenue location was vacant. We just had our accounting staff there. And I remember I was sort of sitting in my office and I was like, you know what, we've got to utilize that space. So I talked to John Kerner, our executive manager, and I said, let's go have lunch. And I pitched him the idea of having a full-on customer care center for all of our dealerships, with the concept of not trying to be everything, but with the concept of being a great team of people that can have a consistent process that gives the customer the same experience each time that they talk to them, and really involve the dealership departments in the process.
All right, so if you just want to give a little feedback, what does our customer care center now? What do we do? What do we handle? And how do we make that customer experience so good from the call to in the store?
So when a customer calls your dealerships, they're greeted with the same greeting, because we have corporate receptionists that are in that customer care center. It's a great day at Healey Brothers. How may I direct your call? Simple, but it's consistent each and every time. So you can rely on that when a customer calls you, they're going to get the same exact communication. If it's calling for a service appointment, they're directed to a group of service BDRs that are going to give them that same experience. They're going to ask them, you know, what's the phone number associated with your vehicle? They're going to
Which is so important because we had an issue with collecting data too at one point.
That's true. That's true. Yep. So you gotten better at that. So the collection of data too. So now not only do we ask consistently the things, we're also checking those touch points for a customer, so that if a customer's phone number is not associated with their vehicle, we're making sure that it is now. So the next time they interact with us for an appointment, that it's easier for the customer to look up for us to look up the information for the customer.
Also makes their experience better in the store because now you have it when you go to the store instead of completely like, oh, I don't know where this customer's coming from kind of a thing.
That's true.
So
Plus, everything is centralized. So, I mean, it does happen where you think you're calling Healey Ford and you're actually calling Healey Kia. Everybody can handle, it's one location. So they just switch over to a different portal within their computer system, and they don't have to port that phone call over to a completely different building. You don't have to restart your conversation all over again. Hello, I'm Brian. I'm looking to schedule my appointment. It's all done in-house.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that, and it's also just that customer gets the same feel. So if we have customers that
and they answer the phone too. We answer the phone, so that's a big one. That's a big part.
But they also have, it's like, customers have a Chevy, they might have a Chevy truck in their household. They might have a Kia Forte in their household. So they're getting that same experience. They call one number, we can take care of the entire process. It's a consistent, it's a single spot to call.
I mean, it's such a huge part as well, because I remember when I was first coming up, we just talked about the data is we'd have phone calls in, and a salesperson would write it on a piece of paper. That piece of paper would go missing. There was nothing going in the computer. We can never have that experience when the customer came in, knowing why they're coming in, and really having an advantage to make their experience better, more customized to the consumer, which is I think the night and day reason why we got it. But so I really want to touch on what are you thinking of the customer experience? How much better has it got for us, and what are some of the issues at the same side that we have with the customer care center going forward? Is the experience that much better? Why should a dealer group do it? Why do we do it for our customers? And that kind of
I think when John and I met in 2013 we went to lunch at Catherine's in Goshen, and it was a long lunch. And I think the same thing kept coming up, was a consistent process for the customer. Something where there's a level of understanding what the customer wants to do. And whether it's setting a sales appointment, we want the customer to come into the dealership and be welcome to the dealership, and for the sales team to know that they're here to look at a black label Lincoln, that they're not coming in and having to re-explain what they did on a 10-minute, 15-minute phone call with someone, that the team in the showroom is ready to wow that customer. When a customer comes in for a service appointment, if the customer has concerns, the advisor can prep for that the night before and know that, Mr. Smith is coming in, he's concerned about the brakes on his vehicle, and he can start the conversation with saying, hey, I got this. I understand your concerns about the brakes, but we're going to take care of you. And so being prepared is, I think, one of the biggest things that has accelerated our success in that customer care center.
So Brian, since you sit there, your ear's closest to it, what are you hearing for experience and stuff like that? Good and bad, but
Yeah, I would say, the main difference is that you have a centralized office, a switchboard. These team members, this is all that they do. We have processes in place, let's say on the service side, so we know how many service appointments each location can fit, whether it's in the morning, midday, late afternoon. If you take a step back and look at the old way of handling the process, you would call in. Brad Warren might be the service advisor that gets that call. He may never answer the phone call, or you may answer it. You look at your schedule. I'm busy. I can't get you in until 3 days from now. Meanwhile, the advisor sitting next to you has 4 open slots that same day. And that was the process that occurred, previously. And you would set your appointment with that specific advisor, and his schedule was the schedule. He wouldn't pass that off to the person next to him. He would try to schedule for his next available, where we now have this team, and we just dive into the analytics, and we can get you in at the next available spot for the Healey dealership, not for that specific advisor. I'm not saying anything negative about our advisors. They're very good at what they do. And same on the salesperson side, they're very good at product knowledge, at going over the vehicle and different objections that might come up as far as, is this the right vehicle for me? And helping our customers find the right vehicle for their needs and their budget. Where our BDC department, their job they have a different job, and their job is to answer the call, get to the right department, get you into the right service slot or the right sales department, the right vehicle, and then turn it over to the experts at the store level.
Yeah. And I think that's where, when we first opened a customer care center at the Healey Ford location, that's where we failed, because we tried to be that everything. And you can't. You've got, the thing that's unique about the dealership, as a whole, is that it consists of a lot of different departments acting as a dealership as a whole. Each of those departments has a bunch of skill sets that they can bring, and we have to embrace that. And that's where I think the customer care center, that team there, they've embraced the fact that they are going to be that first welcoming voice, and they're going to set the tone for what's the experience for your customers as they come into the dealerships and do business with us.
And prepare us for that customer coming in. That's the biggest thing, is preparation for them instead of just coming in cold. You want to carry that experience from whether it's digital to in-person kind of, and who's reaching out. You need to have all that. And they ask the right
100%.
questions. So do we think we could even operate without our customer care center in today's world?
I don't think so. If you couldn't get rid of it and function. You would have to, if you took all those employees, those 30 to 40 employees in that department, and relocated them into individual stores, I still think that you wouldn't have the level of expertise that we have right now. There'd be a little bit of mayhem.
The quality control wouldn't be as good. Like, our managers focus on day to day. Now they'd have to start focusing on more phone calls and phone skills and how to handle that customer, or how to respond to an internet lead, which a lot of them don't. And now we're even changing our style even to be more personal to the customer, which is phenomenal. I think we should touch on that, is what we're doing now to evolve with the world we're in, and handling customers and being more personal instead of being robotic all the time. But what are we doing now to make that experience even better?
I think that training and learning is key to success. Bringing in John Dawson as a consultant for us, it's fun to see the team come out of a training session with Chris, and they've got a pep in their step. They've got a new look on things, and it's a lot of the psychology behind how to interact with customers, how to talk with customers, how to
have a little more fun with customers.
How to listen.
Yep.
Listening is key. I think empathy for a customer, is key, and I think that that's some of what that training is giving the team, is they're able to do a great job listening, have a more personal conversation as if they were talking to their friend about what the customer is trying to accomplish.
And the BDC, the customer care center evolves, touching on what you said. What was common practice in 2015 is not today. Technology has evolved. Customers' buying patterns have evolved from, going 10 years ago, it was get on the phone, get the customer's information. That's the first thing that salespeople typically didn't do. You get your name, your phone number, what you're looking for, and just set the appointment. Then COVID changed everything, and it's more of doing things over the phone and completing the deal along with the technology that we have on our website and everything else that we offer, so that the customer's experience is shortened when they finally get to the dealership. Not everybody shops the same way. Some people sure just want to walk through the door and spend some time, but
they want to chat and be like, hey, how do I use this tool on the site? Or they just want to be a little helped and ask some simple questions, because they don't want to say necessarily get on the phone or text. They just want to text, be like, hey, I'm looking at this Ford F-150. If I go to this payment kind of thing, and now we can kind of guide them the way we talk to them and handle them on our websites, which is drastically different than it was.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't as accurate 5 years ago.
It wasn't.
And it was a disaster. We'd get ourselves into trouble. But the biggest thing I think I've noticed is watching our team being able to, they have a process, but now they're able to be themselves and handle the customer and have a different personality, not a different personality, but see them handle a customer or has a funny email or something like that, and respond to them a certain way to get engagement and treat them like humans instead of like a robot. And I think customers really want that personalized feeling now. And it's awesome to see, especially Shauna, when she comes back, she goes, I'm so happy we went this route. And she stuck with us from the beginning, Shauna.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's another point, is having employees with lower turnover. You know, I'd say call centers in general have a very high turnover rate. Dealerships in general have a very high turnover rate. So to be able to keep our employees longer, they learn and grow as we learn and grow, as the industry, you know, changes, and they're able to adapt instead of having to rehire someone fresh and train them completely all over again. So they're getting better, and the customer experience is getting better along with.
You know, and I think that that's what the Healey brand offers is the goal is to develop the people from within and keep a longevity of our employees. And I think that our customers recognize that, because I you know, I've even heard on some of the phone calls that I've listened to where the person's excited to hear that Jim picked up the call to set their service appointment. You know, it's, hey Jim, it's you know, it's Joe calling back. You know, I'm ready for my next, you know,
Jim, in other words,
prepaid maintenance. I mean, Jim's one of our best service BDRs. He's been with us since the start. But having that, you know, that's welcoming to a customer. The fact that they hear the same greeting, they speak to someone in the service, you know, to set their service appointment, and they're hearing the same person. That speaks a lot about.
And they know they're gonna take in their information the correct way, make sure they get to the right person, and they'll follow up with that person. They have that same feel, and that consistency in their life when they're taking care of their car is super, super important.
Correct.
So I mean, at the end of the day, I think I agree. I think the customer care center. I mean, we even had Fred Beads visit us, and he was shocked how efficient we were. And that's coming more from the biggest dealer groups probably in the country.
Yeah.
And that just goes to say a lot how well we've done and how well we've been able to give such a consistent experience to our consumers. So is there, I mean,
any given month, we are, that customer care center is setting 850 sales appointments. And, you know, 30 to 31% of those appointments are buying a vehicle. You know, 75 to 80% of those appointments are appointments that show up in the showrooms. You know, so that even our sales teams have understood that getting, like, that's a great appointment, because one, if they know what the customer's coming for, there's a wow factor there. If I can greet you and know that you're coming in to look at a Wrangler 4xe, that, you know, you can greet the person in a different way, that you know what that person
you have the car ready, it's all up there.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a game changer.
Okay, so that's the volume of sales. So give us some. What's the volume of service, total service appointments? What's the volume of total calls that come into that one building every single month? Just so that maybe the people listening can hear the volume that we see.
The volumes are
Which are shocking.
At any given moment, each month, you've got the sales volume is doing probably 7,700 outbound phone calls. Service is probably 5,000.
And that's not counting our inbound. That's just the outbound, right?
Yeah.
That's,
you know, they're setting, the service volume is, you know, 4,700 appointments, you know, per month. It's a pretty big number for the stores.
yeah.
And Brian,
And we're growing month after month too, some of these
you
stores.
talked about it too, is that it's also that you're not, the goal is that you efficiently schedule your service departments, because the moment that, you know, a service department's a really chaotic place. I mean, if you've ever like experienced setting a service, I mean, it's chaotic in there.
Yeah.
And the more that you can be, you know, scheduled, that takes some of that chaos and kind of minimizes it a little bit, because then they know what they're prepared for. They can get things, you know, sort of ready ahead of time. So I think that the fact that you can be, you know, ready for what's going to come into your service drive, I think is really key.
I mean, it's, now that we just talked about it, the more and more I think about it, we couldn't live without the customer care center.
I mean, if you're an advisor, their day is so busy. If you know, I just had you know, one of our cars had a flat tire, actually a blowout on a tire. So the service advisor, phenomenal, took it from start to finish. I didn't have to worry about a thing. But looking back on what he had to do in order to call Triton Protect, to talk to them about the tire and wheel coverage, to calling the parts department, to coordinating with the parts department to make sure that they get the tire. You know, it's not the service appointment it's a busy thing.
Yeah.
You know, that
people aren't
advisor
happy there too,
is
so.
on the phone for, you know, with Try and Protect to get the coverage, you know, that I had, the warranty that I had, to make sure that that was covered. It took them, you know, 10, 15 minutes to make sure that that was set for me. So as a customer, I'm sitting back and, you know, they're working for you in that service drive. It takes a lot. So having a customer care center, being able to backfill, setting up all those inbound, you know, those you know, appointments, you know, that takes a lot of pressure off that
And
advisor from
handling
having to, like,
information
you
and
know,
just giving them messages saying, hey, I told them you give them a call back, say at 2:30 or whatever it is. You're really helping that customer understand how busy these people are, and
Sure.
they're going to get back to you. But we're here to hear your issues, and we'll get them down. We'll get them a note. So that's another big thing. But I mean, last thing is I think it's essential for our customer experience. It's essential for our stores collecting data and making the customer experience from digital to in-store. It's just a necessity. So is there anything else you guys want to touch on before we close up here on our customer care center? What's it done to change, in your mind, our organization?
And I think people shop for cars every couple of years, and they're not in car dealerships often. So, like, as we're talking, I'm trying to think of a way to relate this more to something that people can understand on a daily basis. It's almost like if you went to a very busy restaurant, if you didn't have a receptionist or a maitre d' checking you in, if you didn't have waiters and waitresses, if you had the chefs coming out and running the show in the actual, you know, in the dining room, you have in the back, you have the chefs are busy. It's mayhem, but it's structured mayhem. That's like our service department. The sales department is like the waiters and waitresses. You can't have everyone good at every single thing. You have specific things that you're good at. The person that comes around and explains the wine and goes over that. It's almost like your F&I department. But if you don't have, if you have it commingled and you have the cooks in the back setting you up with what table and at what time and scheduling the front of the office, nothing's going to work. So by having specific departments handling what they're best at and allowing them the extra time to train at what they're good at doing, it just helps the flow and customer experience overall. You can't be perfect at everything. So.
And I think you know, a group like ours that has a centralized customer care center is an advantage. A consistent process that's nimble enough to, you know, if James, you know, at Hyundai wants a tweak in the process to fit what works for his team, we can do that.
And that's what we've started to do, actually, too.
Absolutely. If you know, Chris at you know, the Jeep dealership, if he wants something a little different, we can do that. They don't have to worry about micromanaging another department within their dealership. They can work with Chris, whether it's sales or service. They can work with him on, hey, this is going to work with my structure, my team better. But yet still a consistent process. And I think that also allows customers to be comfortable moving. You know, you might have someone that's you know, in construction and they need an F-350 for their business, but maybe their spouse wants a Kia Sedona because they've got a growing family. They need that experience, and allow them to move from one dealership to another and know that there's a consistent Healey brand, a consistent theme that all the dealerships have. And I think that really sets us apart from, you know, other dealerships in the area.
Yeah, I mean, it's helped our growth. Like, just alone, we have great follow-up. We have things in place to make sure that customers' experience went well. And there's dealers around us that don't do that. They don't even touch their customer. They sell them a car, they say, see you later. We have people following up, touching them, making sure everything went smooth.
A lot of overlap in that. So your salesperson will be calling that someone from the customer care system is calling.
Let's be upfront too. We do have situations in the dealerships where there might have been an issue. Mm-hmm. So now the customer calls in, they're greeted with the same greeting, and hey, you had an issue. You have somebody that you can talk to, and know that person is going to get that call to a manager, so that a manager can get with you and speak with you, and
It doesn't go on- it
and
doesn't go on
resolve
deaf ears.
and resolve the problem.
Yeah.
You know, that consistency there is huge for our customers.
Yeah. I mean, just alone, like obviously we want you to always call. We need to know your issues or we can get better as a group. So
true.
I mean, they come in, they angry, and a lot of these times I got to give a lot of these girls and young men, like they get yelled at sometimes, but they handle it with such grace and they understand, they become empathetic, like you said, which is huge. And that you don't see that at many dealerships sometimes. The empathy that they give to an upset customer. We know it's not easy. Say your car breaks down or the sale didn't go as well as you wanted to go. It happens. We're not perfect. We try to get better every single day, but they do a great job handling those customers and, like you said, getting them to the right hands. But I mean, I think that was pretty good. The reasons why and why we want to have such a good experience at the end of the day, it's for our customers. Yeah, it's nice for us because everything's centralized. But at the end of the day, we want to have that ultra luxurious experience for everyone that calls in or reaches out to us.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, hit that subscribe button, and follow us at Healey Brothers on all social platforms.